Wagwan Creative Mind, welcome to another sewing project. If you're new here, you're welcome. My name is Marvelous, and on this channel I share pattern drafting, sewing tutorials, and everything fashion related that make fashion easy and fun. And on today's project, I'm going to be sharing with you how to make this beautiful bustier top that you see here. This top is very beautiful, and I think I'll be trying it on other fabric to see how it comes out. It's very lovely and chic, and you can wear it to events, you can wear it on girly outings, or wherever you want to wear it to. I made use of an African print for this project. You can use whatever you have to make this as well. If you're interested in learning how to do this, then do well to watch this video to the end, as I'll be sharing detailed process of how I came about this beautiful top. Let's get right into the tutorial, guys. So I went ahead to fold for my front panel first. I'm going to be drafting the front of this dress first, and I'm also going to be using this African print for the lining as well. So I'm going to be taking about 6.5 inches. So you can do more if you want your bust area to be very exposed, but I didn't want mine to be, so I'm making use of 6.5 inches. And the total length of this top is 24 inches, which is around the hip measurements. So first I went ahead to impute my bust line, my under bust line, and my waistline, and I'm going to be marking all these lines so that you can see it very clearly. I also went ahead to impute a starting line at the top part. That's where I'm going to begin all the measurements from, and from the hemline I left about 1.5 inches for joining all my fabrics together. So I'm going to be marking my nipple to nipple measurements all the way around my lines like so. So you also have to be mindful that this is not a pattern, so I'm going to be including all our allowances, including the joining allowance at the other part of this pattern. So just take note of that. So at my under bust, I'm taking about 1 inch on both sides. You can do ½ inch if you're on the smaller size, and if you're on the bigger size you can do 1.5. Then from my bust point I came down by 1 inches and I marked it and I connected the line. It's my under bust line. So at my waistline I went up by, that's my hip line, sorry, I went up by 2 inches and I connected my dart leg like so all the way down. Then for the upper part I'm going to be doing 1 inches for my dart leg, just to tighten that area as well. Then I'm going to just connect it like so all the way to meet my nipple to nipple line like I'm doing here. So basically that's all. So the next part now is to impute all our circumference measurements. So I'm going to be imputing first my round bust measurement at that point, my exact round bust measurement at that point. Then I'm also going to be replacing the darts that I took, and I'll be adding my stitching allowance of about 2 inches. So why I'm doing 2 inches is because I'm going to be joining the first part of this pattern to the second part with like ½ inch. You know, this we are drafting on our fabric, so I'm going to go ahead and do the same for my under bust. I marked my under bust measurements and I replaced the darts that I took, and I went imputed my allowance of 2 inch as well. So for my hip, the hemline of this top, what I did is to mark my hip measurements, that's my round hip circumference divided by 4, and I imputed my allowance for the top. So now I'm going to go ahead and connect all these lines just like I'm doing here. and I just curved that part because I don't want the edge to be sharp. So at this point you can do a design if you want the shape of the hemline of your top to be totally different, maybe a very curvy shape. At this point you can impute that, but I didn't want that for the top, so I just went ahead to just cut it straight like I'm doing. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut out the parts I won't be needing. So like I said, I'm going to be cutting a lining for this, and I'm going to be using the same material for the lining as well, because I just wanted to exhaust the material. It wasn't so much, so I'm going to be using it for the lining. I'll cut the lining of this off camera and I'll show you how to join it. So just go ahead and pin just like I'm doing, and also label it in a way you can understand. So for the back pattern, I've gone ahead to mark out my 2 inches for my zipper allowance, and I also went ahead to mark my starting point. So same as we did for the front, 6.5 before we impute our measurements on our bust line and waist line. So I'm just going to extend the lines like so, my bust line and my waist line. Then I'm going to mark nipple to nipple measurements all the way around. If you notice, I'm marking this 4 inches after my zipper allowance, so don't forget. So at my waistline, I went out by 1 inches on both sides. Then I went up by 2 inches for at the hemline part. Then I connected it like I'm doing here. Then at my bust point, I went down by 1 inches and I connected down to my dart leg just the way I'm doing here, and voila, that's basically it. So the next now is to impute my circumference measurement. At that point, starting point, I imputed my round bust measurement and included my stitching allowance. Then at that point as well, I also imputed the same bust measurements and my stitching allowance. At my waistline, I imputed my round waist measurements. I replaced the darts that I took, and I also included my stitching allowance. So at this point, if you're working with a stretchy fabric, just go ahead, and there won't be need for you to replace the darts that you're taking. So I also did the same for the hemline, imputed my round hip measurements, and I included my allowance. So at my waistline, I went out by 1 inches. This is just to take out zipper board for the zipper. I did this at my waistline, and I connected with a slanted line all the way up and down like I did in this video, and I went ahead to cut out. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut out, and I'll notch where my zip is going to begin from, and I'll also label my fabric. So just go ahead and label in a way you can understand. After cutting this, I'll go ahead and also cut out for the piece I'm going to be using to line this as well. So I'll just keep this aside. I'll go ahead and cut the lining off camera, and I'll keep it aside. Then first we're going to go ahead and work on the front part of this bustier top. So this is what it looks like. So I've gone ahead to cut a lining piece just for all front and back. So now I'm just going to arrange them properly, and I'm going to be stitching. So I'm going to be stitching the main fabric together like so, and I'll also stitch the lining as well. So I'll do this and I'll come back to show you the next step. So this is what it looks like by the time I was done stitching it. This for the front part of our top. I'll go ahead and notch all edges so that when I'm ironing it, it's going to really lap properly. I'll go ahead and notch every part. I'll also do the same for the other part I'll be using for the lining as well. I went ahead to also label this in a way I can understand, so I know which one is the front and which one is going to be the lining. So I'll do this and I'll go ahead and iron and keep it aside. Then now we're going to work on the back part. I'll also go ahead and arrange it as well. I've already labeled it in a way I understand. I'll place them rightly. I'll do the same for the lining. Then I'll go ahead and join it as well to 2 parts each. I'll join it and I'll also join the lining part as well. Then I'll go ahead and keep aside. I'll iron it and I'll keep it aside. Then we're going to work on the front parts. So at this point, if you're yet to subscribe, please do well by subscribing to this channel so that you will be notified anytime I post new tutorials. Don't forget to like, comment, and also share. So I'll just go ahead and pin down and I'll stitch in place. So after doing that, this is what it looks like. I'll go ahead and give them good press. So this is the front piece. This is the front piece and that's the lining. So now we are going to go ahead and work on our design at the front. So there are 2 ways you can get it. You can either measure like this, just like I'm doing this, how the belt is going to sit on your neck. I had about 29 to 30, so if I'm measuring, I'll measure about 31 inches. Or you can as well go ahead and place your tape. You remember I took out 6.5, so just place your tape like so and curve it in a slanted form because we're going to start it. You can see we have about 15 inches. Just slant it like so, then times it by 2, that is about 30 inches. So we're going to start impute the belt from about 2 inches because we want it to lap properly. So this is how it's going to be. Just the way I arranged the tape roll, that's how it's going to come out. So I'm going to measure what I have. I'll measure about 31 inches so that by the time I join my rope design, I will not have any shortage. So the wideness is about 5 inches. So you can do lesser, you can do 4 inches, but I liked the 5 inches how it came out. After I stitched it, I was left with 4 inches. So I'm just going to mark 2 inches like I did there, and I'm going to place my design like so in a slanted kind of way, and I'm going to stitch it just the way I'm demonstrating. So this is after I was done stitching. So this is what it looks like. I stitched like so. This is how it's going to come out when you're wearing it. You can see how beautiful it's already looking. So now the next step now is to bring the back piece. So I'm going to be joining the front and the back together like I'm doing the sides before I turn everything with my lining piece. So I'll just go ahead and pin around so you can understand what I'm doing. So I've just placed it and join it by this side. So at this point when you are joining, ensure that you are joining with the allowance you left. You can also go ahead and measure to be sure you are not taking on too much allowance for the joining. So this is what it looks like by the time I was done. This how it looks like. So you go ahead and give it a good press. So now after joining this, I'll bring the piece that I'll be using for the lining and I'll take in my rope design just like you see me do here. Then I'll bring the other prints that I'm using for the lining. So at this point, bring your lining piece and place it like so. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to sew this all the way around, just like I'm demonstrating with my hand. Then I'll leave about 3 inches at that point so that I'll turn it over. I'll use that part to turn it over. So I was done stitching all this side. So what I'm doing now is notching around every part, and I'm also taking out any excess I might have just to have a neat outcome. So I'm just going to go ahead and notch all the way around this top, the down, the sides. I'm just notching every part so that when I'm ironing, everything will sit properly. So after notching all these parts, remember I said we're leaving about 2 to 3 inches, which I'm going to be using to turn everything over, just like I'm doing right here. So I'm just going to go ahead and turn this over to the right side. So at this point, be certain that you know which one is going to be the front and the back. I already labeled it, so I already know. And the way you fix your rope-like design, that's for the neck part, it's going to help you to know which one is the front and which one is the back if you are using the same African print to line your dress like I'm doing. So voila, this is what it looks like. Our top is ready. So next now is to take it to the ironing table and give it a very good press, and our top is ready. So now is just to give it a very good press. Then the next step now is to go ahead and fix my zipper, which I'll be doing off camera. You can see how beautiful it's looking. So let me know if you learned something and if you'll be trying this in the comment section. Also leave your questions. I'll be available to answer any question you might have. I'm just going to go ahead and fix my zipper, and that's basically all. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll be seeing you in my next tutorial. Bye.